Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ken Reed and I am a relationship coach that helps gay men achieve better relationships with others, but most importantly, ourselves. For today's topic, I want to ask you a question. Do you have a type? What is your type? Traditionally, we think of a type as some sort of romantic checklist of things that we like and we predominantly fall for in a man. For example, I might be attracted to a tall, dark-haired man who has lots of money, who talks about all the wonderful things they've done when they've traveled across the globe. That's the romantic side of a type, but there is actually another definition of a type that we need to be aware of. You see, a type is an individual who we tend to fall intensely in love with. We're deeply attracted to them, we get butterflies very quickly, and we're also drawn to them for very inexplicable reasons, yet we feel like we've known this person for a very long time. And I'm going to share with you the reasons for that very shortly. So let's take a step back, talk about an example of this, and also to get a better appreciation for how these kind of interactions take place. So when we're dating, we typically can experience quite a number of people who we're confronted with, who we interact with, fall in love with, and when we take a look at all of their behavior, we start to see some patterns of similarity. For example, one of the quickest and easiest ways to establish what a type is for each and every one of us is by going back and thinking about what was the one thing that stood out as a characteristic amongst all of the people that I were attracted to, that I had a brief fling with, that I was in a significant relationship with, and you'll start to see a pattern. For example, one with dating might be if you've had a series of guys who'd left you when things got intimate, who withdrew both emotionally, were hot and cold, they didn't reply to texts frequently, and they just vanished out of thin air, or they even suddenly broke up with you, then you might find yourself looking at a pattern of behavior of emotionally unavailable men who are very intimate at the beginning, but they have a fear of intimacy. So that's one. Then, for example, you might find yourself in a relationship situation where you typically date narcissists or individuals who have low empathy, and everything's very romantic at the start and you feel good with them at the start, but then the bad behavior starts to tick in and you begin to think to yourself, you know, this doesn't seem to match with what I knew versus what I'm dealing with right now. And that can lead you to feeling incredibly emotionally bruised, manipulated, gaslit, and a whole bunch of other things too. And then if, for example, you are someone who has been, say, dating people for a while and you find yourself getting incredibly anxious and also incredibly you suffer from overthinking when you're in a relationship, it might actually stem from something bigger than just the guys that you're attracted to. And let me explain where this all comes from. As we're growing up, as children, we fall in love with our very first pair of people, our parents, because they're the caretakers for us when we're young, and so our baseline for attraction and also for affection is within our mother and father. Now, I want to be very clear and explain that this is not the romantic kind of love. This is simply the affection that we feel, that sense of bonding and connection with a person who has raised us. But it's very important. You see, our fathers, particularly for men, when we're dating men, have such a huge influence on the kind of partners that we're going to be attracted to. So if, for instance, let's take the emotionally unavailable example. If your father was someone who was distant, left very young when you were a child, not very emotional and not very caring and giving, then you might find yourself attracted to similar men. Because in the beginning, when the first impressions are there and the intimacy is good, it all feels great. However, beneath that, there is a recognition within you that this feels like someone you've known for a very long time, and the answer is you do. It's your father in another person. And sometimes, subconsciously, we think that we can actually fix that person. We think that, oh, we'll get it right this time for the father that couldn't be there for us. This person's not going to change. They are who they are. And your subconscious and also your intuition are likely telling and screaming at you, get out. The reason for this is because in many cases, your body is anxious because it's also anxious with your father's behavior, and it's trying to send you signals through the butterflies, through the emotional anxiety when they're not around, telling you this person is not good for you. And it's confusing because on one hand, you're attracted to this person, but your gut and your head are also sending you mixed signals, confusing the whole mix. That is a sign that you're dating a type. What you can do about this is recognize that these kinds of individuals really are not the people that you want to be dating. They are not the kind of people that are ultimately good for your mental health or for a stable relationship. And with all due respect, they're not suddenly going to change and be the man that you were expecting them to be. It's a tough pill to swallow. So with that in mind, what you can do about it is if you're in a situation where you feel like you're recognizing your own signals in your body go off, you feel that anxiety when they're not texting you back, you feel like they might be displaying signs of withdrawal when they're not with you intimately, you feel as though their behavior doesn't match up, they're very good at the start but not very good halfway through, and they start being very rude to you, then you have to ask yourself a question and go, is this person good for me? And the reason that's an important question to ask is so that way you break away from having this pattern happen sooner rather than getting into the same situation, feeling self-defeated, thinking, I'll never meet the one, I'll never be with a guy who's good. Because the answer is there are plenty of men, an abundance of men, who are amazing and are meant to be with people such as yourself. But until you break away from the habit of being with abusive, emotionally unavailable men who carry that pattern from your own upbringing, you're never going to see the light of day and be with a man who's ready for you. You might even be pushing them away, unbeknownst to you, thinking that they're not good enough for you because you think that you're attracted to a particular kind of guy who's actually not good for you. So that is basically how a type can influence dating, and also why it's good to be recognizing these kinds of behavior patterns in potential partners and how they might be keeping you stuck. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of that. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed it, and I look forward to speaking with you guys next week. Bye-bye.